It all began when my boss's wife requested a simple favor: a ride. Little did I know that seemingly ordinary journey would alter the course of my life forever. Welcome to Bad Boys Channel, where we reveal true adultery stories with unexpected developments. If you find the video interesting, consider subscribing and liking it. Your support really aids the growth of our channel. Now let's embark on the journey into the story. Once upon a time, on what seemed to be an ordinary Tuesday, I found myself unaware of the twists that awaited me. After a long day spent toiling away at the office, I found myself eagerly anticipating the journey home, where a cozy bed awaited me, promising the sweet embrace of much-needed sleep. For a couple of years now, I've been immersed in my role, serving a successful businessman named David, and I was well acquainted with the rhythm of the day-to-day. David was a rugged character, forever striving for greater heights, his mind always set on the tasks at hand. Yet there was an undeniable quality about him that consistently set people on edge. Perhaps it was his fixation on wealth, or perhaps it was the manner in which he regarded others merely as instruments for his own advancement. Regardless of the circumstances, I maintained my distance from him. It wasn't that I held any animosity towards him, but he certainly wasn't the type of boss you'd envision sharing a cold one with after a long day at the office. Suddenly, as if the universe had conspired to bring forth a twist, I received a call from his wife, Emma. Now, Emma was a tale all her own. She possessed a beauty that captivated, an intelligence that shone brightly, and a serene, gentle presence that put everyone at ease. While I can't claim to have known her intimately, I had certainly crossed paths with her at various company gatherings, where she consistently radiated warmth and friendliness. As fate would have it, when she called me, I found myself unprepared for anything beyond the usual. "Greetings, Ethan," she spoke. "I hope I'm not interrupting anything. I need a favor." I raised an eyebrow. "Sure, what's up? I know this might sound strange, but would you be able to give me a ride to a meeting? David is tied up with some work and I can't get there on my own. I assure you, it will be well within your path." For a brief moment, I found myself pausing, caught in the web of uncertainty. Offering the boss's wife a lift wasn't precisely part of my duties, yet she appeared pleasant enough and I thought it couldn't be too bad of a choice. "Absolutely, consider it done. To what destination do you seek to journey?" With a glimmer of anticipation, she shared the address and we settled on a time to rendezvous. A flicker of curiosity danced within me, beckoning for exploration. She usually danced around her words, but this time, she cut straight to the heart of the matter. In the office, she often preferred solitude, with David ever faithfully at her side. Yet today, it felt as though she was extending her hand in a manner that caught me by surprise. As the clock ticked away, I found myself arriving at her doorstep roughly an hour later. In a serene and picturesque neighborhood, her house gleamed as one of the finest gems on the block. As I arrived, there she was, poised at the door, beckoning me with a wave. She appeared breathtaking, as she always does, in her casual attire that exuded an effortless elegance. As I stepped out of my car, I made my way toward her, each footfall bringing me closer to the moment. With a warm smile, she settled into the passenger seat and expressed her gratitude, saying, "Thanks for doing this. It may come as a surprise." "Oh, it's no trouble whatsoever," I replied, aiming for a laid-back tone. "May I inquire about the purpose of the meeting, if you don't mind sharing?" With a soft sigh, she sank into the seat, her hands gently folding in her lap. Just a bit of the usual dealings, you see. You tease." David has been so absorbed in his work lately that finding a moment to share with him feels like a rare treasure. To be truthful, there's been a sense of exclusion that's been weighing on me. I nodded, a flicker of uncertainty dancing in my mind as I pondered my reply. Though I was not well acquainted with the intricacies of David's personal life, it was evident that his work held a place of utmost importance in his world, often overshadowing all else. Yet I felt it best not to delve too deeply. I turned my attention to the road ahead instead. As we journeyed toward the meeting, the dialogue veered into uncharted territory. After a brief silence, Emma's voice emerged, gentle and subdued, breaking the stillness that had enveloped the room. "Ethan, may I pose a question to you?" There are moments when the heart yearns to share its secrets, and today I find myself compelled to unveil a piece of my personal journey. With a fleeting look, I cast my gaze in her direction. Observing the glimmer in her gaze, there was a blend of frustration and sadness, an unfamiliar sight from her. Uncertainty hung in the air as I sensed the weight of her words, a prelude to something significant. Absolutely, I replied, striving to convey a sense of comfort. What tale unfolds before us? With a deep breath, she gathered her thoughts. Her eyes drifted toward the window, searching for the elusive words that danced just beyond her reach. Once upon a time, I found myself entwined in a long journey with David, my husband. Yet, as the days turned into years, I began to feel like a mere shadow in the tapestry of his life, drifting further away from the vibrant connection we once shared. It's a relentless cycle of toil and effort. It's as if I've become a shadow, merely a figure in the background, and truthfully, I doubt he perceives me with the same warmth he once did. Surprise washed over me. To my surprise, she revealed her thoughts so unexpectedly, yet it was clear she wasn't seeking any sympathy. As she shared her truth, a wave of empathy washed over me, and I found myself deeply moved by her words. It must be quite a challenge, I re-Davided, searching for the perfect words to ease her heart. It seems like you might be sensing a bit of neglect in your life. With a gentle nod, her voice floated softly, almost like a secret shared in the quiet of the night. Well, it seems like you're at a crossroads. Unsure of the path ahead, he's so absorbed in his ambitions, chasing after wealth, that he remains oblivious to the depth of my longing for his presence. It feels as though I'm merely an ornament, you see. There's a presence that shines brightly in the spotlight, yet when the curtain falls and true connection is sought, he fades into the shadows. The sorrow in her voice resonated deeply within me, stirring a sense of discomfort in my heart. From the very beginning, I had recognized Emma's beauty. Yet as she spoke about her marriage, it became clear just how much she yearned for something more. She was worthy of so much more than what David offered her, yet I found myself unable to voice that truth. It was a realm that belonged to others, not to me. As we drew nearer to our meeting, the stillness in the car thickened, wrapping around us like a heavy cloak. Words eluded me as I continued to drive, my attention fixed on the road stretching out before me, yet an undeniable change lingered in the air. It was clear to me that Emma was navigating a profound journey, one that she had kept hidden from the world around her. It was an unusual sensation, being the one she turned to, yet I found myself feeling a bond with her that took me by surprise. As we arrived at her destination, she glanced back at me, a gentle smile gracing her lips. Many thanks once more, Ethan. It was one of those moments when the urge to share bubbled up inside me, catching me off guard. No problem, I replied, though a hint of uncertainty lingered within me. It brings me joy to know I could lend a hand. With a brief pause, she extended her hand toward the door handle. There are moments when it's truly refreshing to engage with a soul untouched by the swirling chaos around us. Your kindness means a lot to me. With a determined stride, she stepped out of the car and made her way into the building. As I lingered in that moment, I absorbed the weight of her words, letting them swirl around in my mind. It was evident that Emma carried a weight of unhappiness, yet I found myself intrigued, pondering whether there were deeper layers to her tale that remained untold. Unbeknownst to me, this journey was about to unfold into a tale that would transform everything. The journey home unfolded in silence, a stillness that felt almost heavy in the air. As I settled into the driver's seat, the resonance of Emma's words lingered in my thoughts. In a surprising twist, she revealed her thoughts and feelings to me, catching me off guard. The sorrow woven into her words, the exasperation surrounding her union hung in the atmosphere like a secret yearning to be revealed. It was a bewildering moment, leaving me uncertain about how to navigate the emotions swirling within me, or if I should even attempt to unravel them at all. In the grand tapestry of life, I found myself merely a thread in the fabric of her husband's world. It wasn't my place to delve into their private affairs. As I navigated the winding streets, an inexplicable bond with her began to weave itself into my thoughts. In that fleeting instant, it felt as though we had stepped over an unseen boundary, transforming from mere colleagues into friends, or perhaps something deeper still. It seemed as though she was extending her hand towards something I wasn't certain I was prepared to offer. I arrived at her house once more, yet this time, an unsettling weight lingered in the atmosphere, suggesting that something had shifted in the fabric of our reality. In that moment, I found myself lingering in the car, hesitant to disrupt the delicate balance of the situation. I took a breath, allowing my thoughts to settle before making my next move. It was in that moment, as she stood at the door, her silhouette illuminated by the gentle radiance of the porch light, that the depth of my thoughts about her truly struck me. With a graceful motion, she waved, and in response, I returned the gesture with a wave of my own. I managed to put on a smile, yet it was clear she was not entirely herself. A change had woven itself into the fabric of our connection, leaving me uncertain about how to find my way through it. Before I had a chance to gather my thoughts and step out of the car, she approached me, her demeanor carrying a weight of seriousness that was unusual for her. "Ethan," she whispered, her tone gentle yet filled with a sense of urgency. "May I have a moment of your time?" A tight knot twisted in my stomach. Uncertainty hung in the air as I awaited her words, a sense of significance wrapped around the moment. With a nod, I replied as I exited the vehicle. She guided me to the front steps, her gaze drifting away from mine, as though she were uncertain of where to start. "I've been reflecting on my earlier words," she commenced, her voice quivering ever so slightly. "And I hope you don't perceive this as mere complaining. I don't wish to pull you into my troubles. Yet, I find myself at a crossroads, unsure of how much longer I can maintain the facade that all is well." I nodded, a swirl of uncertainty dancing in my mind, pondering how to find the right words. "Emma, there's no need for you to clarify anything for me. I'm simply here to lend an ear." Her eyes locked onto mine, filled with a fervent intensity, a hint of desperation flickering within them. "Ah, but you see, there's a deeper layer to this that eludes your grasp. David, it seems his love for me has faded away. Since the day we exchanged vows, he's transformed in ways I never could have imagined. I've woven every thread of possibility into this tapestry, yet the pattern remains unchanged, and now I'm just so tired. Tired of being alone, weary of fading into the background." Her words struck me with the force of a sudden blow, leaving me breathless. From the very beginning, I sensed that David wasn't the warmest of souls, yet I was completely unaware of just how vast the chasm of emotional separation truly was between them. The tension in the air was palpable, and I could sense my heart pounding as I observed her fight to keep the tears at bay. "I don't know what to do anymore, Ethan," she continued, her voice trembling with emotion. "In this moment, I find myself adrift, searching for a path through the fog of uncertainty. The person I once knew in my marriage feels like a stranger to me now. It's like he doesn't even see me." Words eluded me in that moment. My heart ached to ease her suffering, yet I found myself lost, unsure of the path to take. In my past experiences, I found myself struggling to navigate through these types of circumstances. Though I felt unprepared to be her anchor in that emotional storm, I knew I couldn't simply turn my back and leave her there. A profound urge to assist her washed over me, despite my uncertainty about the way forward. As I began to speak, Emma interrupted me. "No need for words, Ethan," she replied swiftly, her head shaking gently. "I don't expect you to fix everything. There's a burden I've been holding onto for what feels like an eternity, and I find myself searching for a willing ear to share my tale with." We lingered in quietude for a spell, the night air wrapping around us, cool and thick with anticipation. Time slipped away as we remained in that moment, and I felt a strong urge to keep her company, to shield her from the solitude of her own mind. She had shared her heart with me, laying bare her soul. It felt like there was a connection between us now, something that went beyond just a simple favor. Finally, she broke the silence. "I'm sorry. I'm not quite sure what troubles me. It seems I may be sharing too much with you. Your kindness has truly touched me, and I'm grateful for it. However, I feel the need to take some time for myself right now." The air was thick with tension, each moment drifting away like grains of sand slipping through my fingers, yet I refused to let it conclude in such a manner. With a soft touch, I extended my hand and rested it lightly on her shoulder. "Emma, there's no need for you to say sorry. I'm here for you, ready to weave the tale of our journey together. Should you find yourself in need of a listening ear once more, know that I will be here for you." She gazed at me, her eyes gently warming just a touch. "Thank you, Ethan," she murmured softly. "Your kindness truly means a lot to me." With that, she pivoted and made her way back into the house, leaving me on the porch, my mind a whirlwind of thoughts, each one pulling me in a different direction. Uncertainty loomed as I stood on the precipice of the unknown, unaware of the twists and turns that awaited me. Though the meaning eluded me, there was one certainty that stood firm in my mind. All had transformed. A door seemed to swing wide between us, and the destination was a mystery yet to unfold. As I slipped into my car and set off into the night, a chill wrapped around me, deeper than it had been moments before. I endeavored to cast aside the shadow of doubt, yet it clung to me like a persistent whisper. What had just unfolded, and what journey lay ahead of us? The answers were still shrouded in mystery, yet deep down, I felt this was merely the beginning of something greater. But this was merely the dawn of a grand adventure. The days that followed my conversation with Emma unfolded like a tapestry woven with threads of confusion and longing. The words she spoke lingered in my mind, echoing with the intensity of her emotion, revealing a vulnerability that captivated me. Though I understood the boundaries that should not be crossed, an undeniable pull stirred within me each time her image crossed my mind. It seemed I was weaving a tapestry of reasons to step into her world, to cross the threshold of her home. My intentions were never to cross any lines. It was undeniable that our bond had grown into something profound and meaningful. A change had woven itself into the fabric of our connection, and I found myself struggling to tuck it away into the confines of the past, where it once resided. That night lingered in my mind, a vivid recollection of her vulnerability as she shared her struggles, the deep sense of isolation she felt in a marriage that was quietly falling apart. Deep down, I recognized that there was a deeper connection I felt for her, an emotion that had taken me by surprise. She had transcended the role of merely being David's wife. She was a woman in search of a kindred spirit, someone who could grasp the depths of her sorrow, someone who truly cared. And for reasons unknown, I had stepped into that role. On a sunlit afternoon, my phone chimed softly, revealing a message from Emma. The message was brief yet direct. "Would you be able to swing by today? Gather round, for I have something to share." It was as if a gentle beckoning had been extended, an allure I found impossible to resist. Though I was aware it wasn't the wisest choice, I had to keep reminding myself that I was stepping over a boundary. In a world where love and loyalty intertwine, she wore the ring of commitment, while I found myself in the shadows as her husband's devoted worker. There was an unmistakable sense that this would lead to no positive outcome. Yet there I was, slipping into my car and making my way to her house, almost as if guided by an unseen force without a second thought. As I stepped in, an unmistakable sense of change washed over me. The door stood slightly open, as if she had been anticipating my arrival. I rapped gently on the door before crossing the threshold, striving to maintain a sense of ease, yet my heart raced with anticipation. As I stepped into the moment, a sense of anticipation filled the air. I could feel it deep within me that this encounter would unfold in ways beyond the usual exchange of words. "Ethan," she exclaimed the moment our eyes met, her gaze brimming with a blend of appreciation and an elusive emotion that danced just beyond my understanding. "Thank you for joining us on this journey." "Indeed," I answered, my tone unwavering, even as I sensed the dampness creeping into my palms. "What tale unfolds before us?" With a graceful wave of her hand, she invited me to take a seat on the couch. The atmosphere surrounding us crackled with an unspoken understanding, as if we both sensed the profound shifts that had unfolded in mere moments. She settled into the chair beside me, maintaining a respectful space, yet remaining near enough for me to sense the gravity of her presence. "I've been pondering," her voice began softly, almost as if she were weaving a delicate thread into the fabric of the moment. "I know I've been opening up to you a lot lately, and I don't want to burden you with my problems, but I don't know who else to talk to." I nodded, striving to maintain a steady grip on my emotions. "Emma, there's no need for you to say sorry. You can talk to me whenever you need to." For a fleeting moment, she paused, then turned her gaze to meet mine, her eyes probing deep into my soul. "Ethan, I've been married to David for years, but I feel more alone than ever. I love him, I do, but it's not the same anymore. It's like he doesn't see me anymore. I've woven countless tales in hopes of capturing his attention, crafting moments to stir his heart, yet all my efforts seem to fade into silence. He stands there, an icy figure, and the weight of his distance grows heavier with each passing moment. I find myself questioning how much longer I can wear this mask of normalcy." Her words struck me with a force I hadn't anticipated. The ache in her voice was palpable, a testament to the years woven into a relationship that had long since dimmed its light. That sentiment resonated with me. Relationships, those intricate tapestries of emotion and connection, yet they weren't meant to weave themselves into such a tangled mess. In her own marriage, she never imagined she would feel like a ghost, unseen and unheard. "I can't keep living like this," she continued, her voice trembling with emotion. I seek a companion who embraces my essence, not merely one who endures my presence. I seek a kindred spirit, someone who truly sees the essence of who I am, yet the path to finding such a connection remains elusive. I took a deep breath, my thoughts swirling like leaves in the wind. She was stepping into the spotlight in a manner that was entirely new to me. This had transformed from a mere exchange of words into a heartfelt revelation of her innermost longings, the yearnings that had yet to find fulfillment. There I found myself seated beside her, grappling with a whirlwind of emotions that seemed to deepen with each passing moment. Text. I understand, I replied, my voice barely above a whisper. While I may not fully grasp the depths of your experience, I can relate to that sensation of being ensnared, of pouring your heart into something and receiving little to nothing back. Her eyes met mine, a gentle warmth spreading through her expression. Text. My heart feels like a vast, hollow space, Ethan. Once more, I yearn to feel the warmth of being desired. My heart yearns for the warmth of love, not merely to be a tool or an afterthought in someone else's story. A weight settled heavily upon my chest. I felt the urge to connect, to soothe her spirit, to whisper that all would be well, yet deep down, I understood that wasn't the reality. This situation was anything but simple or easy. Uncertainty lingered in my mind about whether I was the one she sought, yet the undeniable bond we shared beckoned me to pay attention. A heavy hush enveloped us as we absorbed the weight of the words just spoken. At last she broke the silence, her voice barely rising above a whisper. It may seem a bit wild, but there are moments when I can't help but think there might be something deeper between us, Ethan. Have you ever experienced that feeling? I stood still, caught in a moment of uncertainty, pondering my next words. This was the moment I had long feared would arrive. Though I had always made an effort to maintain a certain distance, to uphold the professional facade, the undeniable spark between us lingered in the air, whispering secrets that were hard to ignore. There was an undeniable spark each time we shared the same space, each time our gazes intertwined. A magnetic force beckoned, drawing one closer with an irresistible allure. Text. I'm not quite sure, I replied, my words slipping out more slowly than I had planned. I've made an effort to maintain clarity and respect in our conversations, but I must confess, Emma, there's a feeling within me that's hard to overlook. She drew nearer, her breath a gentle whisper against my skin. I believe we both understand the direction this is headed, she murmured, her voice soft and hesitant. Yet I'm at a loss for how to navigate these emotions. I'm bound in marriage, Ethan, and I can't simply cast that aside, yet I can no longer maintain this facade. The atmosphere around us grew heavy, laden with the weight of unvoiced emotions, poised delicately in the stillness. In that moment, uncertainty clouded my thoughts, leaving me at a crossroads. Yet the allure of surrendering to the unspoken longing that had quietly brewed between us for ages was simply too powerful to resist. We lingered in that moment, the air thick with unspoken words, our warmth intertwining, yet neither of us dared to shift. What unfolds next in this tale? Would we dare to step over the threshold that had remained untouched by either of us until now? Though the answers eluded me, one truth stood clear: nothing would ever return to what it once was. As I navigated the winding roads under the cloak of night, a sense of unease lingered in the air, refusing to let go. All that had transpired between Claire and me was beginning to meld into a haze, an indistinct fog that I couldn't seem to dispel. As we sat together in her car, she shared a revelation that resonated deeply within me, catching me off guard in the most profound way. In my eyes, she was the embodiment of perfection, a figure of grace and strength, radiating confidence, a woman who seemed to have every piece of her life meticulously in place. But that night, she lowered her defenses, revealing a side of her I had never seen before. She wove a tale about her marriage, or perhaps more accurately, the absence of one. It was beyond my wildest dreams to see her share her thoughts with me in such a way. She spoke of her husband, my boss, as a shadow of the man she had once adored. He was frigid and aloof, absorbed in his endeavors, often regarding her merely as a stunning adornment, a lovely piece to flaunt. Once upon a time, the bond that once flourished between them had faded into mere shadows, leaving behind only the facade of perfection he tirelessly crafted for the eyes of the world. As she wove her tale, a curious blend of empathy and confusion washed over me. My admiration for my boss ran deep, and when his wife spoke of him in such a manner, It struck me as a betrayal, not only to their union, but to my own sense of loyalty. She confided in me about this chapter of her life, and I found myself grappling with how to handle such precious knowledge. After what felt like an eternity of silence, Claire finally turned her gaze in my direction. "You know," she murmured, "sometimes I just need someone to confide in, someone who will listen without judgment." Her voice floated softly, like a gentle breeze carrying secrets through the air. The air was thick with her solitude, wrapping around us like a heavy fog as we sat in the car. At that very instant, words danced on the tip of my tongue, yet none felt quite fitting. In that moment, I found myself torn between the urge to offer solace and the understanding that perhaps it wasn't my role to intervene. But what words could I weave into the air? I found myself in a perplexing role, neither a therapist nor anything clearly defined, unsure of what I truly meant to her at this moment. "Have you ever found yourself feeling trapped in a situation?" she inquired, her gaze intertwining with mine. "It feels as though you're trapped, yearning for liberation, doesn't it?" A knot began to twist and turn in my stomach. I found myself at a loss for words, unsure of how to reply. Though my circumstances differed from hers, a part of me resonated with the depth of her frustration. Each of us faced our own trials and tribulations, yet for her, this felt like a quest for liberation, a yearning for a life she deeply desired but found just out of grasp. In that moment, I found myself responding, a bit taken aback by the sound of my own voice. Life weaves a tapestry that holds us steady in our journeys. Even when we resist, she offered a subtle smile, though it carried a hint of sorrow. I could tell she wasn't just talking about her marriage anymore. She was talking about herself, about her need for something more, and suddenly I understood what she was asking for. It wasn't merely a request for an ear. She was seeking an escape route. "Perhaps what you truly seek is a soul who recognizes the essence of your being," I suggested, weighing my words with intention, "not merely as a partner, but as your true self." Her eyes glimmered with a gentle warmth, and for a fleeting moment, I caught a glimpse of the burdens easing from her shoulders, just a touch. My words seemed to offer her a fleeting glimpse of hope, like a whisper carried on the wind. The journey to her abode seemed to stretch out, each moment lingering longer than it ever had in the past. With my gaze fixed on the winding road ahead, I endeavored to silence the tumult of thoughts swirling within my mind. Claire's confession struck me with a weight I hadn't anticipated. It was clear to me that she carried a weight of sorrow, yet I never anticipated her to unveil the depths of her discontent. Now I found myself at a crossroads, confronted with a decision that loomed large: to be the one who lent an ear, who offered solace, or to uphold the distance I had always maintained. As we reached her doorstep, she paused, her hand gently poised on the door handle, a moment suspended in time between anticipation and the unknown. With a soft voice, she expressed her gratitude, saying, "Thank you for listening." I nodded, a swirl of thoughts dancing in my mind, leaving me momentarily speechless. It was as if one chapter was closing, yet another was just starting to unfold, a feeling that eluded my grasp. As she emerged from the car, she hesitated for a moment and glanced back at me. "I hope we can share words once more," she whispered gently. "Concerning all matters?" "Indeed," I replied, even though I was uncertain about how that would unfold. Uncertainty loomed over what lay ahead for me, for her, and for the peculiar bond we shared. With a final look back, she stepped into the house, and I drove away, her words heavy upon my heart. The days that followed that conversation stretched on, each one feeling like an endless journey. Claire and I continued our familiar rhythm, with nothing noteworthy altering our course. Yet in some inexplicable way, the world had transformed, at least within the confines of my thoughts. As I reflected on our last conversation, her words lingered in my thoughts, weaving through my mind like a haunting melody. She had shared so much with me, unveiling a part of herself that was previously hidden from my view. She had transcended the role of merely being my boss's wife. Once upon a time, there lived a woman, a soul with her own dreams and battles to face. And now, I was acutely aware of her solitude, her deep yearning for something beyond the ordinary. What was I meant to do with that? Yet as I pondered further, it became clear that I couldn't simply cast aside the events that had unfolded. There was an undeniable allure about her, a magnetic pull that captivated me long before our conversations about marriage began. Perhaps it was in the depth of her gaze, the trust she placed in me as she shared her innermost feelings. Or maybe it was the way she made me feel like I could be more than just an employee, more than just someone who was simply there to do his job. It was undeniable. There existed a bond between us, one that transcended the mere tasks we undertook side by side. A hidden current flowed between us, an unspoken truth that lingered just beneath the surface, waiting for this moment to be recognized. On a drizzly afternoon, she reached out to me with a message, inquiring if I could join her for a warm cup of coffee. With a rare afternoon of freedom before me, I found myself nodding in agreement without a moment's pause. Uncertainty lingered in the air, yet a sense of anticipation filled my heart, for I sensed that this time would unfold in a way unlike any other. It was destined to be. When I arrived at the cafe, I saw her sitting by the window staring out at the rain. Her expression was unreadable, but there was a sadness in her eyes that I couldn't ignore. I made my way to her table, and as I drew near, she glanced up, giving me a faint, weary smile. "I appreciate your presence," she murmured, gesturing gently to the vacant chair opposite her. I settled into my seat, and for a brief moment, silence enveloped us both. There was something unspoken between us, a tension that had built up since our last conversation. I could feel it, like a weight on both of us. At long last, Ava shattered the stillness. As she started to speak, her voice floated softly, almost like a secret waiting to be shared. In the midst of our conversation, I found myself waiting for her to weave the next part of the tale, yet she lingered in uncertainty, caught in a moment of hesitation. "I'm not sure if I should have spoken up," she murmured, her gaze drifting to the coffee cup resting before her. In that moment, all I sought was an ear to hear my thoughts, and there you stood, ready to lend your presence. "I'm glad I could be there for you," I said, maintaining a calm facade, even as a tempest swirled within me. "But you don't have to apologize for being honest. You've been carrying a lot on your shoulders." In that moment, she turned her gaze towards me, and for the first time, I glimpsed the vulnerability that danced within her eyes. I'm at a loss for what steps to take next. In this moment, I find myself adrift, ensnared in a narrative that feels foreign to me. I'm with him, but it's not love anymore. I can't pretend it is. I didn't know how to respond. I felt compelled to extend my hand in comfort, yet deep down, I understood that her plight was beyond my ability to mend. She was more than merely the spouse of my superior. She found herself in a tangled web of emotions, navigating through a landscape of complexity and pain. "Ava," I spoke gently, "I can't claim to grasp the depths of your struggle, but I truly believe you are worthy of happiness. Every heart yearns for the warmth of love and the sweet embrace of appreciation." She smiled faintly, but it didn't reach her eyes. "I just don't know if I'll ever find that." Not alongside him, alone in my thoughts. The silence between us lingered, thick with unspoken words, yet it felt transformed in some inexplicable way. The air felt charged, like we were both standing on the edge of something we didn't quite understand but couldn't avoid. As I sat there, gazing at her, a revelation dawned upon me. Deep within, a yearning stirred, a desire to transcend the boundaries of friendship, to become more than just a confidant in her life. A piece of my heart yearned to be the one who made her feel cherished, to reveal that love was not a treasure to abandon. Yet, I was acutely aware of the perils that lay ahead. The tangled web of emotions and professional boundaries. I was acutely aware of the intricate complications that arose from drawing too near to someone in this delicate scenario, particularly when my superior was involved. Uncertainty lingered in my mind about crossing that threshold. Yet within the depths of my heart, I was aware that I had already ventured beyond it. Text. "I wish for you to know that you are not alone in this journey," I murmured gently, locking eyes with her. "No matter what unfolds, my presence will remain by your side." She nodded, and for a fleeting instant, the bustling world beyond the cafe faded into nothingness. In that serene moment, it was simply the two of us, enveloped in a profound sense of connection. Yet the persistent whisper in the depths of my thoughts was impossible to dismiss. The truth of the matter was unfolding before our eyes, revealing itself with each passing moment. We couldn't keep pretending that this was just a simple friendship. There lingered an unspoken truth, a presence that neither of us could ignore. And while the future remained a mystery, I sensed that this was merely the prologue to a grander tale yet to unfold.